This week's episode is brought to you by Latin, a dead language that is on the outside of colleges and government documents for some reason. Latin is a language that is used to give credence to your statement or to your motto. At the same time, it is also super fun to type into Google Translate. Latin, lectio difficile est. Hey everybody, welcome to Nexus at Night, the only podcast where we're doing the wave and you can't see that we're doing it. I'm Atlas.
I'm Matt.
Woo! I'm Revere.
And what's up, guys? WaveNation.
Oh man, so we have invited the Vanguard YouTuber WaveNation, specialist in all things Aqua Force, besides Commander Jaime, R.I.P., wherever he happened to may be. And we are here to talk about Aqua Force, because that's your clan.
Yes, Aqua Force is definitely probably the only reason that I still play this game, but love it, so...
Wait, so you put up with like a year of just suck in the reboot?
Oh, absolutely. I tried everything I could to make it work, and we're here now, so...
Yeah, tell that.
How was that experience?
It was horrible for the first few months. I found a few things that worked out, and then new support just threw that all down the drain, and I had to start from square one again, so...
Yeah, tell that there's this guy at my locals, he loves Aqua Force about as much as you do, and he's like... Every week, he'll like pull out the deck box, sigh, put it back in his bag, and then pull out something else.
Dude, that was me when Murakumo dropped. I picked that up, and I was like, I just didn't look back until they announced the new set. So,
yeah, it just he has to go through that ritual every week. He's like, not today.
Yeah. The new support,
Neo Nectar or whatever it is. So today is yet another premium profile for you guys. I know we've only done 3 of them so far, but we try and get someone who's at least somewhat of an expert on whatever clan we happen to be covering. And I went back and listened to the Dark Irregulars episode with Solemn Vanguard, and we went off topic a lot. And I'm going to acknowledge
yeah,
that.
obviously.
So why don't we just start pretty simple. Why don't we talk about the history of Aqua Force in the meta? Do you want to kind of kick us off there, Mr. Wave?
Well, to be honest, there was a large part of the game that I didn't really play between Break Ride era and when G started. But when I came back, it was right around the time that Incessant Waves set dropped, and that's when everything really kind of took off for us. It was kind of like a renaissance period, in a way, where we kind of just went from 0 to 100 with Ripples and Thavis and Blue Wave and everything kind of just, even Maelstrom, got in there a little bit, but like everything kind of took off, especially with Ripples. Like Ripples went all the way to Worlds and won the whole thing. Like it was a really big deal for Aqua Force.
Oh, to be 2015 again.
Oh my God, I wish. That'd be awesome. But yeah, I mean, pre-G Guard, like with how good Thavis and Lambros was in combination, like it was just a really good time for us.
And then there was that brief period. There was also that brief period where Maelstrom was meta because you couldn't guard him.
Oh, with Despina, yeah, that was nasty.
Yeah, and then G Guards came out.
Yep.
It's like a month.
So, I mean, going forward from there, realistically, after the Odysseus hit down to 2 and G Guards came out, we were kind of just like rogue. I mean, there was a lot of things that really disrupted our plays between Denial Griffins, Hetero Rounds. You had Link Joker that really stopped a lot of what we wanted to do. And then we had a really, really bad set when Wailing Thavis came out. But
Divine Dragon Caper, which we did a set review for that set, and
we dumped on that set. That set sucked.
We did. It may have had a fun name, but it was such a nothing set for most people involved.
Without shadows in that set sells zero boxes.
Yeah, and even with the shadows in there, it wasn't like that crazy. It was new shadow support, so everyone was like, "Okay, I'm doing it." Why not?
Yeah.
Like, Wailing Thalvas was like $20 at a time where GRs were like sky high.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, aside from Wailing Thalvas, like the best card for us in that set was that Dolphin Stand Trigger, and like no one even really played that.
That was a common.
I think Atlas played one.
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was cute.
And that was the deck that I used to teach my friend Carly how to play Vanguard, because my logic was, because everything wants to attack at certain points, it kind of teaches you how to like, do your turn a certain way based on what cards you have versus just I put the thing down and attack.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I get when you put it like that, we kind of were just a glorified trial deck at that point.
Yeah. And then I think I was playing Blue Waves at that time.
The lowest of the low, glorified trial deck, single tier.
Yeah, but aside from that, I mean, that whole set was like wave support. I don't think any common player would even know what wave support is off the top of their head. I don't think anybody really no one played those cards.
And even then, like, Thava still wasn't that good, and you just played Blue Waves.
Yeah.
I mean, and like, then after that, you waited a few sets, and then GBT 13 comes out, and it's near the end of G era, and that's when Bushiroad just decided to open the floodgates and let all the crazy shit out. So you guys got a G guard that allowed you to unflip a damage or unlock a thing. You got Megiddo. You got I guess the Blue Wave Valios thing was kind of neat. I don't know if that was, It
really wasn't, but it was fun.
It made the deck really glass cannon, but it was cool. It was interesting.
What, keeping your opponent stuck at 11?
Mm-hmm.
Well, just the way that the whole deck wanted to run was to kind of just play for that one Flood Hazard turn and try and win there.
Yeah, like, that was always the deck, is just open early with Foivos and then hope they die by your first stride.
Yeah, pretty much.
Or G-Guard into that Flood Hazard to get the quad drive on that first attack. And then, like, what was Thavas doing around this time?
Oh, well, I mean...
Thavas was, like, kind of meta at this time.
Yeah, Thavas became pretty solid. I mean, it was able to combat Link Joker, Kagero. It was able to like play around with it, because having the resist offensively was just really, really good for us. It was something that we didn't have before, and all of a sudden it took like one of the things that I always complained about was that like G guards that stopped our attackers and killed them would just shut off our Vanguard, because there wasn't Excel markers back then. You only had 2 rearguard slots, and if they killed something that restood, you're not going to get 4 battles, and almost all of our Vanguard, like all of our strides, needed 4 battles to do something.
Yeah.
I mean,
and then also, like, the new Thavas, I think, let things attack from the back row. I can't really remember.
It let wave units, I believe, attack from the back row.
Yeah.
The new Thavas gave you guys a little bit of consistency, because that's another unit with Thavas in the name.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Thavas, Vanguard. Nothing like searching the topic you're talking about during the podcast, where we're fucking Pod Save America over here, got everything written down. And
it's okay. I actively played the deck at the time, and I can't remember it.
By this point, I had given the deck to Carly, so I wasn't really paying attention anymore.
Well, I think the biggest thing for the set was Alexandros coming out, because that gave us like a solid first stride. It was like no BS. You didn't need 4 battles. It was just stand 2, give them both 5. You had a play that was better than going into like, Lambros or Thavas, Commander Thavas, because you could attack from the back row with the new grade 3 Thavas' skill. So it gave you a little bit more options. And it kind of just gave us like a really good, like I said, like just a no BS first stride, and then it just got better and better as the game went.
Yeah.
That was right around the time when they were like releasing absurd set after absurd set, right?
Yep.
Because it was 13, and then like Rondo and the Bermuda, like all those were in the space of like what, 6 months?
Yeah.
The Stargate set as well. Like everything was just really, really good towards the end.
Stargate, Zoo Booster.
And then that was also kind of unfortunate for Aqua Force, because like right after that set, I think Kagero got the new Overlord that let it retire things with resist.
Oh yeah.
That was in the same set. Actually.
Yeah.
Oh no, I was thinking of 12 that had Blade Master. Yeah, that's right. No, I think
that
it was that
11.
combined. Oh yeah, fuck, Jesus.
You know what the worst part is? We've done set reviews on all of the sets we're talking about. We should be better.
All of these
Yeah.
sets came out pretty close and were all really absurd, like when they came out.
Yes.
No, I think it was the fact that they had Overlord combined with all the Link Joker support also kept getting around resist that kind of pushed Aqua Force back down a bit.
And
Yeah, I mean, I think just because standard split off from premium, thinking about stuff from G format is almost like trying to think about high school days when you're in college now. So
it's
Right.
not
just
even.
like
It's not even that. It's like trying to think of middle school when you're 25. It feels so. Like
It feels so long ago,
it
even
feels
though
like so
wasn't.
long ago. Even though this is like what for like. It was Trump was still
2
president.
years?
Like yeah,
Not
it's
even 2 years.
like
yeah.
I
I
actually
like-
played the game back then.
Come on,
Standard
don't
actually-
admit that
Standard
to the
dropped
listeners.
Like a year ago.
Yeah, we know.
I think that era, I think Alexandros was like super good.
Mhm.
And it's just like, and I think Aqua Force was pretty solid for like, a month and a half until whatever the next set came out was.
Yeah.
Yeah, Stargate came out, and then Nova Grappler just did exactly what we were doing, but better. So we kind of just fell back off the map again.
Yeah.
That's the worst feeling when you're like, I can do this, and then there's another deck that comes along. Yeah, but that's just you, but better. And you're like,
I mean,
Yeah.
that was like all of G format for Aqua Force because everything just became a multi-attack deck, but they would call it from their deck. We had to call it from hand and guard. It was like, what are we doing?
When Aqua Force first came out, this was GBT, sorry, not GBT, BT08.
Mm.
Everyone was kind of like, what is it like? Is this clan going to be really good or really bad? We don't know. And it turned out the clan was just like kind of bad for like
It
a
was
long
like-
time.
Well, it was fine once Glory Maelstrom came out because it was like the only thing with a guard resist at the time.
Yeah, Glory was like pretty crazy. And then when they showed Link Joker in Japan, we were still like barely getting break rides. And then we were just like, what does Aqua Force even do to this?
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you only have 5 rear guard circles. There's no way they can remedy something like that.
Yeah.
That's
I
called
do think
foreshadowing.
I do think that the Aqua Force deck that came out in BT13 with Transport, Tetra Drive, and Friends was actually just very good.
Yeah, that was a really good set.
It just happened that there were actual broken decks in that format,
Yeah.
like Novell, Blouse, mostly those two.
Mostly Novell, yeah.
Oh, Raging Form. Can't forget about Raging Form.
Yeah.
Oh, that guy. So, G era ends, we get the reboot, we get standard format. Now, with the ability to get Excel circles, and that be like that by itself is huge for Aqua Force, just because before you would have to rely on either position swapping or like stuff that can attack from the back row to really reliably get 4 battles. Like, yeah,
Right.
there's restanders and stuff like that, but having an extra front row rear guard circle does wonders for the clan no matter what deck you're playing. So I'm thinking in standard format, it's just, like Maelstrom or Naval Gazer, and then now you have all the Glory Maelstrom stuff, which go check out WaveNation's channel for more details on that, and we're going to plug you at the end too. So hooray, double
Oh,
thanks.
thank you.
So how do you think that having just Excel markers and some of the stuff that we got in the reboot affected Aqua Force in premium?
Well, one thing that it definitely did was take away the worry of how in the world am I going to reach my wave count that I need to for certain cards to work. That's huge. Aside from that, I mean, being able to pull off multiple of certain cards that you normally weren't able to before, like Saberflow was already a pretty good card, which is 4th battle or more. After it finishes swinging at the Vanguard, you can retire it and draw 2. Its drawback was that you would have now this very small attack that didn't really do much for your turn just to let you draw. But with Excel markers, now you can have a lot more meaningful attacks happening throughout the turn as well, and then still get all your draws off to try and survive whatever your opponent comes back at you with.
On top of that, also, back when you didn't have Excel circles, if you did Saberflow's effect, that's half of your attacking front row gone.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yep.
So that you better have been done by that point, or close
Yeah.
to it.
Yeah.
And then like in standard, standard looks pretty awesome now. But what do you think are like some of the clan or not clans, like archetypes in premium that are worth using now at this point in time, knowing that the audience has listened to the My Glorious Justice set review? Go listen to it if you haven't already, or just look it up on Wikipedia. You can do that too.
Well, I think that it brings it down to 4 main decks that can be relevant in premium, and if you want, I can kind of go through like all their strengths and all their flaws.
Yes,
kind
please.
of. So what we'll talk about first, obviously, like the big one that everybody wants to know about is Thavis, because Thavis was like our main G boss. Like, how is it going to fare going forward with all this new stuff? Thavis was a deck that, with the reveal of Valios, had a lot of potential for the simple fact that Thavis has the option to run a lot of cards that let you draw, and that's kind of what Aqua Force needs to do, is like survive our opponent's first stride, which ironically is kind of the deck's biggest weakness, is being able to survive these really good first strides that came out now in Premium Collection. But going off that, like, you can go into these crazy like 20 plus attack Valios plays. There was a blog, I can't remember I think it was Tenma had a blog that like was just crazy informative about like the Valios play and how you can set up with wheel assaults and multi-attacking and getting off your Saberflows to draw cards so you can call more cards with Valios' effect. Like, you can get these really awesome mega attack combos while your opponent's stuck at 11,000 power that just all need to be guarded, where you just keep swapping Tidal Assaults and Benedicts. All your restanders just keep going back and forth to the Excel marker with Assault Wheel. With Wheel Assault swapping them. And now with Wheel Assault being free, you can just keep on doing that over and over and over again. So Thavis has become this like late game presence deck. The only problem is like getting to that late game is a little bit tough because you have to draw into the right cards, perfect guards, G guards, that kind of stuff to get there.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, Ezel laughs in the background.
Yeah, right. So like things that have really good early presence are going to be very tough, and then decks that just have really good first strides like Luard, Gastile, Neo Nectar, like those are going to be really hard to deal with, and those are all decks that are going to be like really, really big going forward in Premium as well.
And then there's also like Mega Colony in the background as like an anti-Ezel pick.
I totally forgot about Mega Colony.
I mean,
that's one thing we actually do have a really good matchup against is Mega Colony.
Huh, interesting.
Like we can call from hand with Valios to get our multi-attack. Like Gridora doesn't stop that from happening still.
Oh yeah, that's true. It's hand only. That's the kicker.
Yeah, so it becomes this weird like almost bottleneck kind of deck where like we beat everything that's bad and we lose to everything that's good with Thavis. And same thing for Standard Plus, which is another deck which is pretty much kind of like a blanket term for like a standard deck with some text thrown in there and like some
just slap a
G
G-Zone on it.
Right, so
Yeah.
it kind of, tries to fulfill the same purpose. But what's interesting about Standard Plus is it gives you the option to run Hydro Hurricane, which didn't look too great for Standard, but being that you can use that like mid-Valios turn or even just during your main phase while you're calling it from hand, you can pop Honolese and try and get around, decks that can bring those out and try and use that against you, like Luard and whatnot.
Guys, we figured out a use for Hydro Hurricane. We spent like 5 minutes riding on this thing.
Oh yeah, no,
During the
outside
set
of
review.
that, there's really nothing you're going to do with that card outside of that. It's just to get rid of Honolese, that's it.
I mean,
But-
that's not a bad way to do it.
Yeah. So you got that. And then there's 2 more decks that, we kind of tinkered around with and tried to figure things out for in Premium. And the first one I'm going to talk about is Blue Wings, which is a little controversial because it's so new and it's so unexplored that we really haven't had a lot of time to try and figure out how exactly it's going to work. But one thing that's for sure is that it has really good early game presence and it can play the grade 2 game so well. Like you've got an 11k body to just sit on with all these like free beefy cards that just bully your opponent while you're trying to fight for that first stride position. And being that it wants to like run heals regardless, you're gonna be able to play the G guard game and try and find some way to get around what your opponent's going to do, and then slap them back with some like late game Alexandros play that can crush them after you've bullied them early game.
Or just try and high roll them with the heal trigger, get that extra drive check. Yeah,
you could do that too, and that's like again just another threat early game. If you sit on 2 for an extra turn, it's like if I hit a heal, I could just win right now. So,
Jeez.
But that one's going to be good as well. At least in testing, it was able to kind of put up with, not consistently beat, but it was able to put up with like the early game from Neonectar and Luard and like those kind of decks.
Mm-hmm.
You could at least try and play around them, because like playing Thavis or Standard Plus, like you're going to be sitting on a grade 2 that's a 9k, and like even if you draw into a Tidal Assault, you're going to have to get lucky to do anything good early against a 10k body. So
yeah.
And then
unless you run like let's say you like draw into Nicolas or something. I don't know. I can think of like no good answer to that. Just
yeah, I mean the ones that we were testing is really going for like that late game Valios play, which I don't even think we were really running Nicolas in any of the builds for premium.
So no Nicolas, no
yeah,
Algos,
definitely not for
yeah.
Thavis. I think Standard Plus we may have. I think I tried Algos a couple times, but just ultimately like Tidal Assault and Benedict and like the swappers, or I'm sorry, the restanders that aren't wave restricted were just really good, because you could just constantly put them on Excel markers and swing for 1914, 2015 at a 11k stuck Vanguard for the whole turn, and that was really kind of like the play that you wanted to get to. But of course, I mean there are other options that you can do for Standard Plus as well. That was just some of the ones that we tried.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Blue Wing stuff we had a bit of a discussion about, but ultimately we decided that we just didn't really know what to say about it, because it was like this new thing.
It's weird because it doesn't have a boss, right? It's just like a rearguard engine, and it's a solid rearguard engine because it gives you just free units, free numbers, restanding ability. Like it's got what it needs. It just doesn't have a boss yet, and I feel like that's what will take it to the next level. Right now, you got to find a way to try and make it work without that.
Yeah.
Imagine they just had a grade 3 that let you turn like normal units into heal triggers.
That would be so nasty.
There better be like some kind of major. It should be something like grade 3s become heal triggers or something like that.
No, Blue Wing units become heal triggers.
Oh, that's a good way to do it. Except there's already like 5 Blue Wings or something like that. So
yeah, whatever. Screw it.
Fine.
Yeah, there's 5. You just gotta be careful, because like manipulating heal triggers is like very dangerous, especially in a deck that like plays that aggressively.
Well, it's not like they would heal you. It's just it gets treated as a heal trigger in terms of like name.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, kind of like the comparison to guard breaking with Dimension Place, where it like gets treated as a grade 3.
Oh no, it actually gets grade +1, but yeah.
Yeah, or just something to that nature.
But it's much easier to like write down a line for grade +1 than it is to. This counts as a heal trigger for but only for effects that need to check.
Yeah.
Like it's like what?
Maybe just have it restand units with Blue Wing in its name.
Yeah, when it's placed in trigger zone, stand all Blue Wings or something like that.
Yeah. Like when your drive check reveals a normal unit, just stand all of your either units or rear guards. I don't know what seems more fair with Blue Wings.
I mean, they would have to
that would
continue not giving them a boss if that's the case.
Yeah, because that would cover so many flaws. It would make every drive check either stand all of your rear guards or you would hit an actual trigger. So that'd be really good.
I mean, you can only do that once during the drive check.
Yeah.
So, all right, so we had Standard Plus, we had Blue Wings, we had
Thavis was the other one.
What's the fourth one?
Right, so the fourth one is, I think, going to be our best option, and that's going to be Ripples, which Ripples haven't had a single new card of support since that set in 2015.
No, they have not.
I think that they probably wanted to. Like, if you look at that old Blue Wave stride, I can't remember the name off the top of my head right now. I think it was like Artuam or something like that. Yeah. It's a Ripple. Like, you see the whole Ripple ride chain in the background. He's got like the Ripple uniform, the glove, like everything. But it's is a blue wave card, has some random ability. Like I don't think that they really can give any more support to it because of how fast and how efficient its early game engine is with Odysseus. Because indirectly, every card that goes to Aqua Force is support for that card now. Kind of like how everything that's going to come out for Dark Irregulars is going to be Gasteel support from this point forward. Like, if you look at what the deck can accomplish early game now compared to what it did before, like before it would just be you want to open with Odysseus because you can get your Ripple Rush off early game. That's fantastic. But now with Wheel Assault and with Nicholas, you have like 3 target rides, and you still have the Ripple engine available to you, and you can abuse Nicholas to search for Algos like 2 or 3 times a turn, depending on what you hit in your opening hand. So you can get a bunch of searches off, and then going into Grade 2, your Coral Assaults are going to swing big, go into Soul, let you draw, and then stay safe in Soul so that you could pull it out again the next turn. So what the new set did for Ripples was give you either hitting the Ripple Ride chain and getting 4 battles that way, having a Wheel Assault on rearguard, getting 4 battles that way, or riding Algos and getting 4 battles that way. Like there's like no way to not have good early game with Ripples anymore. And with Coral Assault getting so big, like damage triggers are also not really a problem anymore either. So running that with like 16 crit was probably the best way that we were testing it, because most of the games would just end on turn 3. The second you go into that Legion play and you get like your Diamantes on an Excel marker, just swing 6 times after you already swung like 8 or 9 times for really big numbers earlier in the game. No deck can really keep up with that early unless they heal or hit a bunch of draw triggers or whatever. Like, it just rushes down so fast, and it's so hard to brick with the deck now that it's a deck where the option is like, we want to put our opponent into a position where they need to survive to win, rather than us needing to survive their first stride to have a play. You know what I'm saying?
So it's aggression that actually it's offensive aggression instead of defensive aggression, if that makes sense.
Right. It's like don't play to not lose, play to win. Like, that's the deck that's going to win the game rather than have to like not lose the game to do anything.
Yeah.
That's don't play to not lose, play to win. We need that in Latin above the Nexus core headquarters, next to the one that just says "reading is hard" in Latin. That's
I probably didn't phrase that the best way that I could have, but pretty much what I'm trying to say is like, some versions of Aqua Force need to survive to get to a point where they're in a winning position. With Ripples, like, your opponent needs to survive to be in a winning position. Like, you're the one that's got your foot on the gas as opposed to the other versions of the deck.
Yeah, there's a common thing in many card games about like at what phase of the game. Like some decks are good like at more phases of the game than others, but maybe less good. Like, you could have a deck that's just good at every phase of the game, like Bermuda or something, right? It's like, oh, I'm gonna do crazy shit constantly. But you have to ask yourself, if you're playing a deck, like Ripples, like how late can the game go before I'm disadvantaged?
Yeah, that's the thing, is like the deck also not running any heal triggers or perfect guards, like it also lacks a backbone. So if you don't, like, if something happens and you don't happen to win by that 3rd turn, like chances are you're going to get slapped back by their first stride and not really have an answer. But the deck was the deck that had like the highest win rate and like the most efficient plays.
And the most consistency even?
Yeah, pretty much.
Damn.
The only way to really brick with that deck now is to have to like open with Odysseus, and that's all you can ride, because then you don't get anything else going for you for the rest of the game. But if you open with any other grade 1, you're pretty much fine.
That's
Is Odysseus back at 4?
Yeah, Odysseus is back at 4.
Oh my god. Yeah, I think it was really what you said earlier about don't play to survive, play to win, or something of the sort, or not lose. I think is the way you worded it.
I think survive is a better way to word it.
I think not lose is this classic way. So I like that one.
Yeah,
I think it's a very important point. Card game players tend to feel like they have to make, how do I say it, the play that lets them live the longest. because it seems like if you're not losing longer, that's a better play. But like, if you're playing, an aggressive strategy, you can play this long game all day, and it looks like you're not going to lose for a longer period of time. But you also just can't hope.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to tell you, like, just straight up from experience against these new strides, like, you're not going to survive a first stride Luard, a first stride Katrina, a first stride Gastille. Like, you're not going to survive that. I don't care how many cards you draw, unless you draw into all 4 G guards and all 4 perfect guards,
or at least not well. Like, you're not going to be in good shape after that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're not going to have anything to fight back with. And realistically, max hand size after your first stride with Aqua Force is going to be somewhere around 13 or 14. It sounds like a lot of cards, but with what we have in the game right now, it's really not enough.
Dude, it reminds me when people were like playing against like Glendios and shit, and thinking that they just wanted to like take the game long in any reasonable capacity, and you're just like, what is your plan exactly?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what your plan is, and I don't know.
You're
if you're
still
winning.
gonna have no counterblasts at the end of the day. Like, what are you doing? The thing it reminds me of is like pre-GBT12 OTTs. Like, yeah, not losing is not the same as winning.
It's pretty much
true.
that entire clan.
Oh, by the way, Super S non-Ludaire, Ludaire Vincere. Do not play to survive, play to win in Latin.
The video you made about the new Glory Maelstrom, the one that you made in like just a few minutes, I thought was hit on something really important too. That kind of the community can do kind of unknowingly at times is tend to like everything needs to be either good or bad.
Yeah,
which is
sure.
almost never the case. Like, there are cards that are just good, right? Like, you look at a card like Ange, and you're like, yeah, this card's just good. You look at a card like whatever that Bermuda Grade 2 from the TD is, and you're like, yeah, this card's just good, right?
Yeah.
But, like, a lot of cards that, like Glory Maelstrom, that card, in his example that he was talking about, is, like, just not just bad, but it's also, like, not, like, obviously good, which is where you have to, like, judge it properly.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think is really hard for people. Is like, well, when is it good? What can I do to make it better? What can I...
Like, so Aqua Force right now, especially like with the stuff in the standard set, like there's a lot of cards that just by reading them, it would bait you to want to overcommit. And I think that's one of the biggest problem that a lot of people have. And like what I was talking about in that video specifically was people saying that the card was bad because what it wants to do is be a card that makes unguardable attacks, and there's a possibility that they might not all be unguardable, and that's okay, because the whole point of the card isn't to just win instantly in one turn. Like if that's what the card did, it would just be unfair. But the point of the card is to like consistently pressure. That's why it has a low cost, and you don't need to like overcommit for these crazy plays that just aren't realistic.
Yeah. And you can pressure beforehand too. Like, you don't have to like go in immediately.
Yeah, no, it's a second ride card. You have 3 turns before that to do what you want to do to them.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing with just like anything with guard restrict in general is that a lot of people put too much weight on like how much pressure it is early. Like, I've seen a lot of people do the waterfall and, like, all right, I'm going to retire your front row and I attack Soul Blast with a crit. I'm like, I'm at 2, so, yeah, go ahead. Like a lot of people go, oh, it's got guard restrict and a crit. It must be, like, amazing at all times of the game. No, it's not. It's great in late game, but before that, like, if anything, it's the opposite of pressure. You are causing me to relax in my chair because I go, okay, well, I can't use any of these cards to guard anyway, but I'm also not going to lose. Yeah, free counterblast. Let's go. You know?
Exactly. So it's like some cards just have designs that are just overlooked in certain aspects by a lot of the players. I'm not trying to do that to like knock on a lot of the players in the community, but like there are a lot of cards like that, like you're talking about, like with Waterfall or like with Glory, where you look at it and it's like it's not a card that you want to use to just like 0 to 6 somebody, because if you're trying to do that, then chances are you just called your whole hand, and then you will lose the next turn. But if you play it smart, the game's not over if you don't win on that turn. Like there's turns and turns and turns that can come after if you play correctly.
And I also didn't mean it to act like I was attacking the community for that either. What kind of the point I wanted to make is this happens in literally every card game.
No, of course.
Literally everyone. People are like, "Oh, this card is busted."
Well, because people tend to categorize things. If it's not good, it must be trash, or whatever.
Right, exactly.
Also, I can't believe we're being nice to the community. I thought we were the podcast with the three assholes or something.
I don't know if you've heard this word. A word that we use a lot, or at least I use a lot, that I've kind of infected other people with, is medium. I'll call cards like medium, medium plus, medium minus,
medium well, medium rare.
Haven't even thought of that. Is that between plus? Is that between plus and regular and like rare is between
rare
medium
is
and
better than medium well. So
yeah, I would say that Glory Maelstrom is like a medium rare card, somewhere in that category.
So it's between medium and medium plus.
Yeah.
It's
Wait.
What? No, like
on the medium side of medium plus.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
All right, you know what?
It's a spectrum, you see.
I mean, I've even gotten my family saying medium. You have caused medium to leak into, like,
good.
Our style of speaking. I was talking to my mom the other day. I'm like, so how was talking to her about work? I was like, how is this patient you were with? And she was like, medium. I was like, holy shit. It happens. I said it enough around her that she says it now. It's great.
It's incredibly useful because there's too many words for both good and bad, and not enough terms for neither of those two.
Yeah, mm-hmm. I mean, like even the thing where I've said medium at like work or something, and then someone goes, "It was bad." I'm like, "No, it was medium." There's a medium.
Just in the middle.
Yeah. So what we learned from this episode: ripples are remarkably consistent and can kill you before or get close.
I want this deck to go away personally because man, I lose to it so much.
Ripples.
Honestly, I don't blame you. Like even in its heyday, it just felt too. Like I felt dirty. It was too strong. It just does too much.
I still remember that Worlds and people playing garbage shit like pure Metal Borgs.
I think that's what it played against in the grand final.
Yeah,
it was
like
Metal Borg.
The worse DP deck than just the Break Ride Legion 1 that you could be playing.
Right.
It was the double year of humiliation because it was that, and then the year after was Seven Seas Rush, right?
Yeah, but imagine not playing the actual broken deck in your clan for this very, very like medium deck.
Oh yeah,
medium deck, yeah.
But like it was so funny for Bushiro to be like, all right, it's the grand finals. What sort of GB skill using striding decks are we going to see? You're dead before stride happens.
Mm-hmm.
But we just streamed that to the entire world. Yeah, that and was Seven Seas Rush, and they were like, all right, you know what? We got to change some shit.
Yeah, they changed it after they ended the G era.
Yeah, well, it's still something. Yeah. So you said that Ripples have done the best in testing. What I'm wondering is, what are the matchups like for Aqua Force in this current premium meta, where we have things like you said, like Neo Nectar and Shadow Paladin, like post premium collection?
So it looks like Neo Nectar is one of our harder matchups, being that they actually have early game and like relatively good early game too. Especially since they can use like they can use Force 2 and get all their tokens down, and they can really smack, like regardless of what deck you're playing, they can smack you really hard if you're not careful. So you got to be careful with that as well. And then of course you have Luard, which can draw cards early, even Gasteel with like Werewolf and everything, they can draw cards early and make things a little bit tough for you as well. So, I mean, those were the big three that gave us the most problems.
You didn't happen to test against Great Nature, did you?
Testing against Great Nature, No, because we kind of knew how that matchup was going to go. Realistically, they're just going to call a Hanali out at some point when you're striding and just shut your whole turn off, and there's nothing you're going to be able to do about it. And then Hydro Hurricane came out, so that was a little late in the set. But even then, like, they give it resist, so it's not like it's going to matter.
That's true. I know. I'm just curious because like I've been testing a little bit with Premium Great Nature translation a lot, but I haven't really gotten to play against Aqua Force at all. So I'm curious as to see what's going to happen for me anyway with my clan of choice. So you said that Luard, DIs, and Neonectar are the biggest problems.
Yeah, they got like the best. They got the best ability to try and outlast what we throw at them early to get to like the next step, which is just winning on first stride.
And like the thing with Neonectar especially, and I can say this as I've gotten my ass handed to me several times, shout out to Gabe, is that with the plant token thing being such a good early game, and then you can just follow that up with Katarina, the new Katarina stride, being like, all right, all these plant tokens are real things now.
Yeah.
Like they have an end game to that, which is crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, there's like no weak point for them.
No weak point at all. Single tier. And then, let's see. Well, Aqua Force also gets, compared to Nova Grappler. What is that matchup like?
Aqua Force to Nova Grappler? It depends on which variant of the deck that you play, like we were talking about. So if you're playing something that really doesn't have too much early game, like Thavis, depending on your build, Standard Plus, and even sometimes Blue Wings if you don't open correctly, if they keep their pieces, they kind of just don't care. As soon as they go onto Bustard, like, you're just dead. But with Ripples, you can pull every single card out of their hand or just win the game before that. So it depends. Things need early game to be able to put up with that deck.
I swear to God, if this causes the price of all the Ripple cards on TCG Player to go up, I'm going to be so pissed.
Just buy them now.
Yeah, I was going to say, just buy them now, right now, while we're doing this.
It's less about that and more about, like, that truly means that people are listening to us and that we have an actual impact on people, which I don't know how I feel about having an impact on people. Ugh.
You shouldn't be allowed to be in charge of anything.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Same.
Exactly. So now, why should anybody play Aqua Force at all? If Bustard can just hold its pieces and kill you, or Luard exists, or Gasteel exists, like what sets this clan apart from the others aside from the awesome Navy aesthetic?
Well, I think that we have the best pre-stride kill deck in the game with Ripples. Outside of that, there really isn't a reason to play Aqua Force unless you like them, because they're probably not going to fare too well. But definitely Ripples are like, that's the way to go if you want to try and win in Premium with Aqua Force, like 100%.
Aqua Force is kind of a clan that I think when the kind of shift was happening from G era into V era, I don't think anyone was worried about Aqua Force's identity in any way, shape, or form. Like, I think the big question marks were like the ninja clans and like maybe some paladin somewhere.
Yeah.
But
or like the duplicate clans like OTT and Genesis.
Well,
yeah, so go on.
I was gonna say they didn't really seem like duplicates to me. They have their own, like, maybe aesthetically, sure, but
I think Aqua Force has actually remained unique to Nova Grappler somehow.
Well, that's because they started changing up how Nova Grappler gets its multi-attack. Like, with all the Beast Deity stuff attacking in the main phase or on call now.
Mm-hmm.
And then now Aqua Force always, not only the position swapping thing, which they're the only clan to do that outside of, like, I think a single Murakumo card. That and the, like, number of battles to do X thing has always kind of been tied to them, which seems like a downside, but I think it has allowed for interesting playstyles and card design.
I think that's kind of what makes the deck so enticing and so fun to pick up in the first place, is it's one of the clans where you really have to think out what attack is going to go where because you have so many of them, and you really have to make sure that like this one hits on this battle, this one goes on this battle, this one will get big here, this one will get big here, this one needs to go. Like it's more of what I would imagine Vanguard to be like, which is like being a tactician of a fleet. That's kind of more what Aqua Force feels like, which ironically fits the aesthetic perfectly. So I think that's what makes it so fun for me, at least.
So you're saying use your imagination?
Yeah, you have to imagine it.
Yeah.
What? Just play Dimension, please. Close your eyes and turn cards sideways, and then loose, because you're playing Dimension, please.
You saw that meme we retweeted with the that OTT card that gives your Vanguard an extra drive check?
Which
No.
one? The new
The new Magus card.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I saw that, I'm like, oh, Matt's gonna be sad. Like,
And that's a rare too. That's just a rare.
They just give free drive checks to everybody now.
Yeah, pretty much.
which kind of reminds me of late G era, the whole everybody gets quad drive now, or
Yeah.
Oh my god, they print what's his name? X Gallop, and his he has all these conditions to get plus a drive check and power and a plus a drive check and a crit or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then they just print 4 more cards in a row that all have easier conditions for it.
Yeah.
And you're just okay.
Or X Gallop, man. I got a DP player that goes to my locals that used to talk about that all the time. He's like, man, I got to jump through so many hoops for X Gallop. You just go on Flood Hazard on the wrong heart card and drive check 4 times.
It's so true. Oh my god.
I mean, nowadays Excalibur isn't that terrible because now you got the new Laurel and stuff like that to make it a little better. But
Right. You have the
Just
other
go to
stride.
The new Gallop, yeah, or the newer Gallop.
yeah, newer Gallup,
Not actually new.
new old new Gallup.
Right.
So anything else we want to say about this great Navy clan before we wrap up here?
Ripples is scary.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
I've that deck has kicked my shit in for way too long, and now it'll continue to do so.
The masochist in me wants to see if Blue Storm can even do anything in premium, but the answer is probably no.
Oh, yeah. Poor Blue Storm and Blue Wave both. I feel so bad for those archetypes. They're just long forgotten.
Yeah. And
Now you
those
got
were
Blue
the only
Wings.
archetypes.
That's blue, right?
Do you remember
Yeah.
the quote Blue Storm support end quote in BT09 or GPT09?
And it was one card.
It was
Honestly, I
one
try
card.
and forget about that stuff completely.
I don't even remember what that fucking card did.
It was the Maelstrom stride that looked at top whatever for a Maelstrom.
Oh yeah. Fuck. That was actually kind of playable after GBT12 came out, but it was awful.
Oh my god! How do they print these cards?
They have little regard for history.
At least we have Glory Maelstrom now.
Which,
Yeah.
by the way, settle an argument for us. So, Matt argued that Glory Maelstrom's new skill that you can only guard with 1 card at a time should now be called Glory Skill, even though the old Glory Skill was no grade 1s or higher.
Oh,
Do you
single
agree
door.
with this? What?
Single door.
Fucking eat it, Matt! Yeah.
But
100%.
but you can make Atlas upset by also calling it Glory Skill, and that is inherent value.
I'd be lying if I said that, though.
Oh, all right.
I'm sorry, dude.
It's okay.
I mean, admittedly, I can't say I blame him for wanting to annoy me, because let's be honest, annoying Atlas is it's the great American pastime next to baseball. It's just it's great.
That's our hobby on this podcast.
Oh yeah, no. Shout out to Will Reagan from elementary school. He was a pro at that shit.
Oh man.
Oh,
Yeah, you got single door and glory. You got battle door, of course, and then what's the new the Nova Grappler hero boss? Triple door or whatever. I don't know.
frisbee guy that's not really worth a VR.
Yeah, the Beyblade dude.
Yeah.
that costs 4 counterblast. Yeah, the VR that costs 4 counterblast.
I mean, triple door seems like it writes itself too. Like, why not?
Yeah.
Anyway, so this is usually the part of the show where we plug ourselves, but Mr. WaveNation, why don't you go ahead and tell people where they can find you out there on the internet?
Well, I mean, you could find me on Instagram. You can find me on Twitter. You can find me on YouTube. Obviously, YouTube. YouTube is my big thing. So, YouTube, just WaveNation. Click on the one that has Vanguard stuff in it. And then I think, hold on, let me pull this stuff up on my phone because I can't even remember my own tags half the time.
You can't remember your own like Instagram handle or Twitter handle?
Yeah, my Instagram handle. I have two because I have one for like my band stuff, and then I got one for my Vanguard stuff. But the Vanguard one is going to be CFVG_WaveNation. You could follow that one if you want, even though no one else does, really.
I mean, we have like, I think 60 followers on our Instagram that we update like barely, so whatever. Just you do you, man.
Yeah. And then Twitter, you can just @Kahuna Big Tuna. It'll be WaveNation when you find it. And yeah, that's really it. Just YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. And then, of course, I have a Discord, but that's linked in my YouTube stuff. So if you want to join a Discord that I'm in, you can do that too.
Hell yeah. Matt, how about you?
Find me at Wiggums on Twitter, 2Gs, 2Zs.
You can find me at Plasma Eclipse.
And you can find me personally at Atlas Novak with a CK at the end. It's not just NOVAK, NOVACK. And then you can find this podcast at Nexus at Night on Twitter and Instagram. You can also find this podcast, assuming you're listening to it on YouTube. I'm not sure why you would, but you can find it literally anywhere you get a podcast. iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, any of those. Spotify, it doesn't matter. So, yeah, until next time, I was Atlas.
I'm Matt.
I'm Root Beer.
And WaveNation, guys. See you later.
And have a good night, everybody.